Wow. I am an idiot. All right, so let's go here. Hey, it looks like I'm actually live, kind of, sort of. And no, I didn't set the wrong time. Hey guys, sorry. I meant to go live a little while ago. However, I was actually talking to Lore, who unexpectedly showed up early in the back room. So he and I were talking a little bit about what was going on. I was actually expecting him to come on a little bit late, and so I truly apologize for being late. So let me first and foremost say thank you to all of you that are already here. I see there's 20 of you here. Gosh. Bradley was first, John DeMarco, Thomas Potts, all of the first three in the house. Games You Love is here. 47 Yorktown. Mike Richards is here from Columbus, Ohio. Hope things are going well there. Professor Brainy Specs is in the house. John DeMarco. Jordan is here. Says donuts have gone up 25 cents. Oh no. That sucks. Got to get donuts, man. Thomas says, wonder why it goes to waiting for Salty Trekker once the timer hits 1 minute. I apologize. Professor Brainy Spec says, hail, Mike Richards. Bird of Prey 5's mad that I'm late. I'm sorry. I am truly sorry. All right, so let me skip the comments for a minute here. I apologize, but I do got a lot to cover. And I did spend a lot of time with the neurologist this morning. And a couple of people know about this. Not a lot of people know about this, but I wanted to make it public and kind of just go over it real quick. I'm not going to repeat this. I'll probably do a video about it in the next few days once I have a little more information. But for tonight, I'm just going to talk about it the one time. If somebody comes on later and asks, I would appreciate it if the mods fill people in as it goes. But here's the deal. The doctor, and by the way, feel free to insert jokes because there are some acronyms here that are freaking hilarious. Yeah, it's. I can officially say I identify as cis because the doctor has diagnosed me as cis, CIS, cis. Now, CIS actually is not cisgendered. Cis means clinically isolated syndrome. That is actually now what we've been talking about up to this point is multiple sclerosis. I can never pronounce it. Sclerosis, MS. Now, the M in MS, of course, is multiple. The I in CIS is isolated. So the idea here is that multiple is with people that have MS. The typical form of MS is that they have a series of incidents where basically their systems in their bodies are actually fighting each other and they end up with having attacks. And so typical symptoms could be like parts of their body get significantly weaker or intense pain, or there are various types of symptoms that can hit different people. It actually affects different people in different ways. And so what can happen is that they get really intense symptoms and then the symptoms back off for weeks, months, sometimes even years, and then it hits them again. And so if they only get the symptoms once, that's CIS. That's an isolated set of symptoms. And then if it never happens again, that's all it ever was. If it does happen again, now it's MS. But there's a different kind of MS, and this is what the doctor thinks we have. And this is the problem, is that this is the more difficult version to diagnose. Here we go. You ready for this? It's progressive multiple sclerosis, or yes, that's right, PMS. So, yes, I'm not only am I cis, but I'm a cis heading towards PMS. That With progressive MS, what that means is that the symptoms do not go away. They just actually gradually get worse and worse and worse. And so basically the symptoms, and I have a multitude of symptoms that I've talked with you guys about multiple times in the past. And I'm not going to sit here and whine about that right now. But the symptoms will just continue to get worse until the day I die. And the good news with this, that sounds horrible. And I'm not going to lie, it is horrible. But the good news of getting the diagnosis today is primarily that now that there is a diagnosis of CIS, and the CIS diagnosis actually does say that this is a CIS diagnosis as a precursor to PMS. And so the doctor actually does put in the diagnosis of CIS that she believes that this is PMS. So with that, that opens it up to treatments for MS. There are, and to answer your question that you just put in there, Thomas, yes, there are treatments available. Different people react differently to the treatments. For some people, the treatments work wonders. For some people, they do nothing. For some people, the treatments can actually make the symptoms worse. So we won't know until we start getting into it. The first treatment that we're trying is a set of injections that we're going to be doing. It's an actual needle. I hate needles, but dang it, going to have to do it. It's 3 injections a week. And the missus is going to have to help me with this because, oh man. So that's what we're going to be doing as soon as the supplies come my way. So that is the official where we're at with the medical situation right now. So I wanted to fill you guys in. Like I said, there's only, aside from family, and there's only about 5 people that I've actually told before right now. So, you guys have helped us so much over these last few months, and I'm going to let you guys, you guys will know the entire journey as it goes. So, no, I'm not going to change my name to the PMS Trekker, John. Not going to happen. But in a shocking twist of fate, I think the problem is I'm so used to life with Matthew because Matthew is always late, but I'm here with Lore Reloaded, who is not late and in fact is early. Hey, Lore, how you doing?
Doing well. How are you doing?
Well, you know the answer to that.
Living that best life is what it sounds like.
Yes, indeed. I'm living the cis life.
Is it the cis PMS life? Is what they say?
The cis PMS
life. Yeah.
So
that's what you should put. It should be in the description now.
The cis PMS. I'm gonna have to come up with some kind of I'll probably do a live stream once a week or something where just kind of giving updates on how that's going. And thank you, Mercer. I appreciate that. I will check for the email after the stream, but yeah. And Deej says, finally, the stream's been uplifted with a good guest. Wow. Thanks, Deej. Jerk. So, let's talk about the Kurtzmagiddan.
Sure. What do you want to talk about when it comes to that?
Well, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, I mean, they single-handedly only hired Kurtzman back because he's doing such a great job, and he brought Bad Robot ahead, and because of how well Trek is doing. So.
Oh, okay, so you're buying into all the hype then?
Oh, you mean spitting facts and telling the truth? Is that what you mean? We talked about it before.
I'm curious what your actual take is on it.
But I'm more interested in us making money, which is going with the Lore Reloaded brand, though. You understand?
So what is the the Lore Reloaded brand take on it then?
Well, I mean, you said and you talked about it before, and I actually talked about it after that. was that they were more looking at Bad Robot and the production value and quality that Bad Robot can put out.
Right.
I'm of the opinion that from everything we can see, now again, it's weird because we can't really see numbers that would really tell us what we need to know. But just based on inference from everything we can see, Trek is doing pretty well, doing pretty good. And so I wouldn't see why they wouldn't continue doing that, you
Right.
know? Plus, again, Bad Robot in the industry is top notch, so there's no reason not to use them either. So there's no reason for them not to have a deal and bring everybody back.
Right. I think the bottom line is, are they making money?
Right.
And the because I think that when you peel it all away, as much as people don't buy into this because everybody wants to see a conspiracy behind every door,
Right.
the studios just want to make a buck.
Yeah. I agree.
And I mean, I don't think CBS wants to be squashed by the other streaming services, and
Right.
I think that they want CBS All Access, or sorry, Paramount Plus,
Right.
to be able to compete with Disney Plus and Peacock and all the rest. And so, excuse me, I think that ultimately, I don't think that they're bleeding subs because if I think that if at least not because of those shows,
Right.
and I think they track those numbers.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's a corporation, so CBS and Paramount aren't public, but Viacom definitively is, and they're not. While while corporations might have a bent, they're there to make money. They're not going to spend hundreds to billions and go bankrupt, right? At best, what I think, and someone said this before, at best, what I think is they hire talent which will make them money, and then the talent may have an agenda. I don't know that the company itself has an agenda. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I think Kevin Feige, is his name Kevin? Whatever. Feige.
They were in
also.
CMCU, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good example. I think Feige has some agendas, but I don't think like Disney or Marvel necessarily do. They just want to make money, and however they do that, they're fine by. You know?
Well, and I'll say this: I know that Bird's saying, what about Netflix? Well, what about Netflix? Netflix didn't like what returns they were getting off of it, but CBS does.
And Amazon Prime just got international rights for Lower Decks, if not other things too. So,
Right.
I mean, if I have to choose between Netflix and Amazon, I don't know.
Right. And don't get me wrong. Look, first of all, for and look at what all the politics behind all this stuff. Look at all the stuff that what's his name was saying about the politics of Netflix with the He-Man crap. I mean, shouldn't Netflix be just chomping at the bit to get Discovery then? I mean, honestly, if Netflix wants to get that He-Man crap, shouldn't they want you know
Right.
that. And no, Alexander, I am not on the same computer. I am on a temporary computer that is man, I am squinting right now to see the chat, but I'm managing to get by for right now. I spent half the day at the doctor and the other half of the day installing programs to get this live stream going. Anyway, but that's neither here nor there. I'm not here to whine about that. We're here to whine about Star Trek. I think that ultimately though CBS, and I don't think it's just Star Trek. That's the other thing is that I think that nerds. It's funny. Here's the problem. I think nerds are kind of getting a little too big for their britches, as the old saying goes. I know you're probably too young to remember that saying, Laura, but it's an old saying that my mom used to say. Because I think that nerds think that Star Trek is like for everybody now. Like
Right.
it's no, I'm sorry. Star Trek is still just for nerds. You see, when I first heard about this Kurtzman deal, I looked it up on a finance site, and you know what the first thing they did? They were like, "Oh, great! Kurtzman signed on for 5 more years. They're going to do an adaptation of Stephen King." You know? Oh yeah,
Right.
and Star Trek.
Right.
You know, And so that's so the secret hideout deal is not just a Star Trek deal.
Right. I said Bad Robot. I meant Secret Hideout,
Yeah.
by the way. Somebody corrected on that. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's easy to mix up the two, but yeah, Bad Robot is J.J. Abrams' company.
Right.
Secret Hideout is Alex Kurtzman's company.
Right. I messed up on the last thing too, because now they reminded me of it. But yeah, I mean, well, again, it's just a win-win. I don't the
And yes,
I don't
Joseph, britches with an R.
I don't know. I think that I think Star Trek is for a certain demographic. I don't know that it's necessarily. I think it's a subsection of nerds at this juncture, but as you stated, really they care about the bigger picture, whereas we're more focused on the smaller deals of it.
Right. I mean, obviously, we care about. I mean, because Secret Hideout is a general production company, and they're going to produce basically anything that's going to be effects heavy for Paramount Plus, and we're worried about not just effects heavy work, but not just science fiction effects heavy work, but specifically Star Trek work. And so, so we're very, very narrowed in on that, and that's not all of their work. And so, yeah, it's. I think that we're kind of overinflating our importance a bit, and quite frankly, I don't know how important the Star Trek brand is as far as that's concerned, but I dare say that I think that Alex Kurtzman is making Viacom CBS money. If he wasn't making Viacom CBS money, I don't think this deal would be happening.
Right. And Alex, thanks for supporting the channel. Alex says corporations have to virtue signal as a marketing move to make money. Gillette lost $8 billion in sales with its anti-men woke. I don't know what that's about. They're scared of the left. I'll say this: I think they do go with the flow or go with what what seems socially acceptable. So that kind of goes back to what we were talking about before. Corporations aren't really.
I strenuously object.
Concerned about LGBT plus. They're not concerned about a conservative Christian. They're concerned about making money, and they will hire and lean whatever way it is to get to that point. So I'll agree there.
Right.
But I don't really. I think they're more just worried about the money than they are the message.
Right.
Just whatever the message is. Like again, what month is? And the best way to tell this is what month is LGBT plus?
Pride Month.
Yeah, what's Pride Month?
It was like a couple months ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I was asking what specific. Well, whatever specific Pride Month is, it's really easy to tell. Go to any corporate Twitter that's Western based, and you'll see it turns the Pride colors.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at their Chinese or their Eastern equivalents, they don't do any of that because again, it's all about money. It's not about.
And Mercer, thank you, puts in a couple bucks, says, I strenuously object. That's how it works? This is a quote from A Few Good Men, I believe, if I'm getting Mercer likes to say everything in quotes. And the problem is I think that it is chasing the almighty buck as far as the companies are concerned. And the problem is that in the United States, currently, the way the political climate is that right now Hollywood knows that if they don't do it, then yeah, they're gonna have the pitchforks and torches at their gate.
Right. Well, it's more trouble than it's worth because if you mention it, you're probably just going to get left alone.
Right.
But if you don't, you're going to get called out for not doing it, and if you speak against it, you're going to get held for speaking. It's going to be even worse. Right. So.
And the problem is that, and for the conservatives, I mean, let's be real. If when Hollywood does this crap, it's not. Look, the Phantom Menace is out there complaining on YouTube, but they're not showing up in front of Universal Studios or NBC or CBS with picket signs.
Right.
You know, they're not actually doing anything. And guess what? They're all still watching Star Trek, even though half the producers and half the actors and everybody there is sitting there saying conservatives shouldn't watch our shows.
Right.
We're still watching them. So you know, it's like,
Well, it feeds off of each other. So yeah, I mean, I honestly think a lot of them are there for. It's going well, Tony. Hope it's going well with you too. It's. I think a lot of them are doing it just because it's a good vicious circle. People will watch them complain about CBS, who gets their views and everything, but it's even like YouTube. Like you and me know. Well, for me, but I think you're the same way. If you hate me and you're still watching me, you're helping me.
right.
Like if you like, there are Reddits out there dedicated to taking down YouTube channels and stuff. All it does is help them. I mean, the best way to stop someone is just to not mention them, not talk about them. But if you're focused on them, man, no reason for them not to continue.
Right. Well, look at Twitter. I mean, Twitter is almost pure hate culture, right? That's, I mean, if I don't know. That's why I don't go to Twitter anymore. You know, people sometimes message me on Twitter, and I will go there every once in a while to check my messages, but that is it. I don't seek out any kind. You know, it's like, oh wow, that was really insightful on Twitter. I never said ever. You know,
Right.
because it's just various forms of hatred. At Facebook, same thing. You know, wow, that was a really sound argument I saw on Facebook. Said no one. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Good.
Well,
Go ahead.
and so all these people are just freaking out. You have the Phantom Menace that's saying that basically it's all about the agenda, that it's all about that CBS and Viacom have just gone off the deep end. They don't care about making money. They just care about pushing an agenda. And then you have the We Are Starfleet crowd who are just saying that basically that Star Trek is obviously the biggest success since Friends.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Twitter's stupid. They literally tried to cancel my channel multiple times. Did you know that? There was literally a movement. It was,
Well, they
it
should.
was interesting. Well, I'm not saying they weren't justified in what they were trying to do. I'm just saying that the but yeah, I don't. You know, I think that Star Trek is doing well enough that keeping on Secret Hideout makes sense for them to do. You know. So I don't see any kind of difference. I don't see any reason for them not to. Alex says, I object too. We have boycotted Disney for the Gina Carano firing, as well as Walmart for its political tweets and Wells Fargo. Viacom is next. Well, I mean, as everyone knows, Disney and Walmart have been brought to their knees, and Wells Fargo is on its way.
Those boycotts are doing.
They're doing fantastic. So I agree. Right. Better watch out.
First of all, well, and I'll say this. Boycotting, no. First of all, I'll boycott Disney when they don't put out good programming.
Right.
You know, I'm sorry. You know, I know some people got mad, and no offense to who was that said that about Gina Carano. I know a lot of people that unsubscribe from Disney over the Gina Carano thing. If you want to unsubscribe from Disney because they fired Gina Carano, you go right ahead. I'm not going to stop you. But you know what? I don't give a crap who they hire and fire. I enjoy The Mandalorian. I'm going to watch it. Period.
Right.
I'm not, it's like, hey, if I like a Whopper with cheese, I don't care what the political beliefs of the CEO of Burger King is. I'm going to buy a Whopper with cheese. And so that's just the way it's going to be. And so I'm not going to sit there and worry about, because you know what? Everybody in Hollywood is a political crazy. They are nuts. So I'm not going to worry about it. Super Blubberpuss says that we are being ruled by a mob mentality by a small percentage of the public. Basically, yeah. Well, we have this small percentage on the extremes of both sides that are very loud, and that's where the big voices are. And unfortunately, those people that are in the middle, they're not exciting. Let's be real. Being rational and moderate is not sexy.
Right.
Plus, it doesn't help the fact that neither me or Laura are particularly sexy.
That's true. Captain Moroni says Anti-Tracker and Lore Reloaded. Shut up and continue on, if you please. So we got a huge fan.
Wow, that was awesome. Thank you. Well,
The funny thing is, it's always been this way. It's just who has the reins. I mean, when I
mm-hmm.
look back, it's never really. There's not really a time when it hasn't. You haven't had some one side or another, or one agenda or another, just having a large amount of sway. So, like people act like this is a brand new thing. Like, oh my God, these people from Hollywood are destroying our child. It's always been like this. It's just it wasn't. You grew up when the other side was more in power, and so you're used to that.
Well, and
Also,
we have the internet, so it's just amplified.
Wasn't it you too that was talking about how they were upset when Gina actually got the part? Like they were going pretty. Oh my God!
Yeah, there were people that were upset that look, the the Mandalorian is going all woke because, of course, for some reason everybody thinks woke means feminist, which is not what woke means. But I'm not going to get into that right now. But yeah, there were people that thought that the show was going all woke when Gina Carano was hired, and now Gina Carano is the second coming when she got fired because, oh my gosh, how could you fire this great, strong woman? But yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, you can tell that with anyone. Like, and it just happens on both sides. Like, people, the fan, we just not just the Phantom Menace, can be anybody, but like Kirk goes in and out of. Not Kirk. William Shatner goes in and out of being liked depending on what he said on Twitter or what he's taking pot shots at, or that goes on both sides. Like people have liked William Shatner on the left, and then all of a sudden he says something that's conservative or more in line with critics, and they get pissed off, and then the feminists or critics do the exact same thing. So I don't know. The more you look at it, the more it's the exact same thing. And I guess just what frustrates me is that there is like, and it's both sides, there's no research or education. Like I did a stream earlier today, and we played a random video talking about how awful it was that Kurtzman was now in power, or was being renewed or whatever, in power, whatever. And all of the facts they used were inaccurate. They had absolutely no information on it. Right. And everybody's just doing that because it gets you views, and it's very frustrating.
Right. Stuff like, we've confirmed that there's a Section 31 show. We've confirmed that there's going to be a Captain Proton show. All this stuff that's like all in speculation and rumor that, people are just kind of running with, just because it makes for good YouTubing.
Right.
And by the way, Mr. CCTV, and I'm sorry I can't read all the comments, guys. I really appreciate all the chatter going on here. I wish I could. But first of all, Mr. CCTV, this is how you get a comment read. Must disagree. Salty Trekker and Laura Reloaded, I think you guys are pretty sexy. I'm in love with y'all. So, thank you.
We're in love with you too. Like both of us. It's okay. He doesn't admit it. He doesn't like to. Only, when there's not everyone around, he'll tell you when the lights are out. But he loves you. Don't worry. It's his way.
And Tubian says, Funnier died at a bit with John Goodman's Colonel Sanders in a spoof pro-LGBT. Then he turns to the camera and says, actually, I'm not going to even finish reading that. Tubian, I don't even want to go there. Multi-Gunman says, Twitter is for twats. Well, Twitter is a mess. Confirmed that Salty Trekker thinks Laura is sexy. That's kind of the opposite of what I said. I'm just saying.
Why do you always get this way in front of our friends? I mean, when it's just you and me time, this is different. I hate how you look in front of our friends.
Just because I happen to have all the naked footage of you. Wait a minute. You sabotaged the computer. You were trying to get rid of the footage.
Why do you close your eyes? Who are you thinking about? This one a place he never wanted to go. See? This is why we didn't do live together for a long time.
Well, can't argue with that. Alex Kurtzman will make a better president of the United States than showrunner of Star Trek. Well, I don't. Well,
What was that? Who was?
I
Who was what?
don't think so, Lord M. I don't think that Alex Kurtzman would make a. He's arguing that Alex Kurtzman would make a better president of the United States than showrunner of Star Trek. I don't think Alex Kurtzman has the necessary qualifications to be president of the United States. So I would probably disagree with you, because I think that you would really want someone that would have a better handle on things like national security and foreign policy and stuff. You know,
What skill sets does Star Trek showrunner have that President of the United States doesn't? It feels
Yeah.
like there would be a lot of overlap in
Yeah.
in those. I don't know.
Right. Now, here's an interesting question. So, Brian asks, in 10 years, do you think that future generations will like Discovery, Picard, etc., better than TOS, TNG, Voyager, Enterprise? I think that's an interesting question, and I think that part of it will depend on how Discovery, Picard, etc. evolve in right now is going to determine that.
I think they will without the evolution. And I'll tell you why. I think that I think we're gonna. I think because of the way time goes and the way film evolves and everything, people relate. The closer the film is, the more, or the closer the era is, the more they're going to be able to relate to it. So, if you take a lot of the older movies, film buffs and aficionados might enjoy it, but the popcorn eating movie watchers, as Red Letter Media would put it, probably wouldn't. And so now that it's action, 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 now that it's flashy things, CGI, I think that's going to continue. And I think as generations grow up and stuff, they're going to get used to that. And so they're going to more like it than people who were used to practical effects or different writing.
Now, and thank you, Surf Tractronics throws in $5. I do appreciate it, sir. You see, here's my problem with that. I'm not going to completely disagree with you, but I still want you to be wrong. I think.
I mean, I'm not saying I want to be right. I'm just saying if you look at how film has evolved and how, and you look at audiences, that's how it works. That's how it's always worked.
See, here's the thing. I think that while film has changed, I think that there's still the fact is that right now the biggest film franchise is still the most optimistic. If you look at the MCU, is still what's king of the hill, and the MCU is not dark and bleak and depressing like Star Trek is. And I do think that it's going to. I think that Star Trek is going to self-destruct if it continues down the nihilistic path. I don't think that that's a good path for Star Trek to take.
I don't think so. Well, we don't have the data that could tell us, but
that's the problem. CBS won't
infer,
release the actual numbers.
What we can infer doesn't seem to yield to that. I guess my question is, do you think that someone right now who is, let's say, we'll just pick like 15, right? Mm-hmm. Is more likely, not edge counts, but more likely to like Cinderella or Luca?
I don't know what Luca is.
Oh, you haven't seen? Okay, that's right. I forgot. Between us, I still have young kids. Frozen. You know Frozen, right? Luca's a Disney property. You know Frozen? Have you watched Frozen?
I have not watched Frozen. I know of Frozen.
What's the last Disney property that you watch? First off, you need to have young kids. But
I don't need to have young kids. I'm 53 years old. Why do I need to have young kids?
What's the last Disney property you've seen?
Oh, man. Probably.
Was it Cinderella?
Oh, shut up. Jerk.
Did you watch Into the Spider-Verse?
Yes.
Okay, so which one do you think a 15-year-old would like more, Cinderella or Into the Spider-Verse?
Well, those are completely different genres.
Okay, they're still animated films. Which one do you think they'd like more?
Well, and then you're talking about, are you talking about a boy or are you talking
Oh
about
Jesus, average, just your
No,
average.
there's not an average. There's,
There is an so you're saying that when they
demographics matter.
demographics, yeah, I agree. So your average 15-year-old male.
Your average 15-year-old male would probably prefer Into the Spider-Verse, but
Okay, what about female?
would probably prefer Cinderella versus
No.
Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, Into the Spider-Verse, yes.
Probably Cinderella.
I disagree. I think they'd still like Into the Spider. But that's what I'm saying. Even I don't know a comparable. You won't know any comparables to Cinderella because you don't have young kids. But
well, that's the problem. We don't have. Yeah, there's not. I mean, like if you were going to say Frozen versus Into the Spider-Verse, I'd probably say Frozen from what little I know of it.
Right. But I mean, I just think that the more they continue on and the more they grow up with, we have an entire generation that's going to grow up with Discovery, God help them, you know? So I think that, and then their kids are going to grow up with Discovery and what comes after Discovery.
Right.
So they're just going to be used to Discovery and not TNG. I'm not
but
saying
being used to something doesn't make it good, and it doesn't. And being used to something also doesn't necessarily make it palatable. Like, for example, when I was a kid, and I mean, I'll tell you, like, for example, I grew up in the 70s, and in the 70s there was science fiction shows like Space 1999 and Battlestar Galactica, Galactica 1980, Buck Rogers in the 25th Century, and so on. Some of those shows I liked, some of them I didn't. And just because they were around didn't mean I grew up thinking, hey, Space 1999 is a great show, just because it's what was contemporary at the time.
But you're more likely to like, I mean, again, I don't know shows that happened in the 60s or 50s, but you're more likely to like
60s
the shows
or 50s? Dang,
no,
dude, how old do you think I am?
This is why. No. This is why. You're more likely to like the shows you grew up.
I actually popped out of my headphones, so I can't hear you.
Oh, sweet.
I can't hear you. Can't hear you at all.
Well, that's fine. I continue to say I can't hear you because that's not annoying at all. So if you could.
All right, now I can hear you.
Hey, buddy. You are more likely to enjoy the shows you grew up with than shows before and arguably shows after it.
Well, sure. Well, like, for example, I've always argued that people tend to have a soft spot for whatever Trek is their entry point, particularly either TOS or TNG, because TOS and TNG have the distinct honor of being the only two Treks, not counting the current stuff, that was the only Trek on the air at their given time frames, right? Because TOS was the only Trek on at its time, TNG was the only Trek on at its time, but then Deep Space Nine shared time all through its run, Voyager shared time, etc.
Right.
And so people had a fondness for Kirk or Picard based on when they grew up. But I don't think, I don't hear people going, oh yeah, I sure do love Burnham. And because Burnham doesn't feel like, and even to people that tend to like Discovery, when I've talked to people who genuinely like Discovery, I don't hear them talking about how great Burnham as a character is, because she's not a character.
I would be interested. I'm curious who you're talking to. I think a lot of people do enjoy Burnham that are have specific backgrounds.
I've heard people that say they like that Burnham is a strong female character. I've heard people say that they like that Burnham is black. I've heard people say that they like that Burnham is assertive or stuff like that. But you know what? I've never heard people say that they like that Burnham has something of a personality, because she doesn't have one.
She doesn't get one for a while. I'll agree with you there. She is the who was he in Voyager? The Asian guy, Korean, I think. They're Asian, I think, Korean. You know what I'm talking to?
Wow.
Koreans?
Yes, you're talking about Kim.
Kim, yeah. What's wrong with what I just said? Are we not allowed to call people Asian or Korean?
Just the way you said it is.
Okay, I'm just saying. Did you know Israelis are Asian? Technically, I didn't know that. It's interesting. It's interesting information. It's in Asia. Anyway, but yeah, Kim. She's the Kim of her time. I'll agree with you there. But I think she gets a personality by season 3, a little bit of one. But even then, they can still like aspects of her. I don't know.
Ed and Law think Surf Tectonics is lowest channel on YouTube, so everyone should sub to it because last is first.
What specific was the point of that?
And Surf, thank you again for another 5. Hold on. Surf throws $5 in. And which is actually, I hope I said thank you the first time you threw $5 in. I don't remember if I did now.
You did.
Okay. And it says, Anti-Tracker and, although I'm not Anti-Tracker anymore, and Lawrence think Surf Tectonics is the lowest channel on YouTube, so everyone should sub to it because last is first.
I mean, if you're not last, you're first. That's true. That's how it works.
Yeah. So you think that Burnham has a personality in season
I think she
3?
has. I think she has more of one in season 3. Yeah, I think she is slowly starting to become a realistic character.
And sisters, I'm not blaming Sonequa Martin Green at all. Don't get me wrong. I'm not blaming Sonequa Martin Green. I'm not saying she can't act. I'm not saying anything negative about her whatsoever. I 100% blame the writing and direction of the show. And she's, I don't know her from Adam as far as I heard she was on Walking Dead. Some people like her, some people didn't like her on Walking Dead. Don't know, whatever. But but as far as her performance and some of her acting on the show has been fine. I don't see her as having much of a character at all.
Well, she was given a an archetype that really no one should be given. The archetype itself.
You mean the Mary Sue?
Is fan fiction. No, I'm talking about a human who was raised by Vulcans. That in of itself seems like a fan fiction. And then to try to portray a human raised on Vulcan would be pretty difficult to do, I think. Again, I think we see more of a personality coming out in season 3. I'm not saying she's totally there or she's the most well-written character or anything like that, but I do think that there's more coming out. And I think in season 3...
do you think she's not a Mary Sue?
I think everyone in Star Trek is a Mary Sue. Do I think she's more of a Mary Sue than the others? In season 1, for sure. Season 2, they get better about it. In season 3, she basically is told over and over and over again to knock it off. And so I think they're more and more moving away from that. I don't know that she'll ever not be a little bit of a Mary Sue, but I think they got better with it. I mean, we can discuss that. There are certain aspects to it that we can talk about if you want, because I'm not just pulling that out.
Well, I'm just curious. I'm not. You're certainly entitled to your opinion. I think she is, but I mean, just based on the classical definition of what one is. But
I mean, they're all Mary Sues by definition. It's just that she's the Wesley of Discovery, and that's not a good
I don't
thing,
think that they're... you know what? I honestly disagree with you on that. I think that the whole everybody's a Mary Sue is a fallacious argument, because if you look at most of the other characters, like she shows skills that by right no one should have.
They all have skills that no one should have, though. That's the thing. I'm not saying she's not.
She has all the skills. The only thing, and I absolutely mean this, the only thing she has not shown superior skills at so far is surgery.
No, I think that she has, and again, this is why I say moving into season 3. I think there are people who have stepped up and said that you need to calm down, you need to simmer on down. There are things I can do better than you. And she did take a step back.
They've tried to do that, and then they still have her do stuff that, like, for example, they will have situations like, clearly this other person is the person for the job, so you do it.
I mean, that happens in all. It happens more with her. That's fine, but that happens in all of Trek. You have Picard doing massive engineering things being walked through that knows where he's going. Sisko developed the Defiant. Mm-hmm. So you have, that's not like that's not something that doesn't occur. It's again just taken to 11.
By the way, I do want to correct you on one thing. Not you, Laura, but MLP Death Dealer, who is saying that she's a traitor and a mutineer. She is a traitor. She is not a mutineer. Mutiny, and this is something that's a pet peeve of mine, because I know she was charged and convicted of mutiny, but she is not a mutiny. A mutiny is specifically a conspiracy. She did not conspire with anybody. She assaulted a superior officer and attempted to commandeer the ship, but she did not in any way, shape, or form commit a mutiny. Mutiny would involve multiple people.
They also didn't they make Discovery, like the existence of Discovery, like super secret or something, so that they could justify it?
Yeah, try to pretend that. Yeah, okay, that's why nobody mentioned it, which is whatever. that's kind of stupid.
But yeah, no, I'm not saying that she's not the worst of all the special. All humans, at least Starfleet humans, are superhuman in their abilities. Which is fine. It's just we have to recognize that.
You see, I disagree. For example, if you look at, I'm not saying that they're not all skilled in some way, but I don't think they're all superhuman. Like, for example, Dr. McCoy was a skilled physician, but he was not superhumanly skilled as a physician. And you don't see him doing extraordinary things, generally speaking, outside of being a physician.
In The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager, do you see people who are not of their...
Why do you think I've argued that the TOS is the best of all Trek?
Okay. I'm just saying, my original series...
Mic drop, buddy. I've been saying all along that TOS is the best Trek, and thank you for pointing that out for me.
That's fine. I mean, if you want to say, well, this didn't happen in the original series, that's fine. But, 40 years, so that's the first, 4 years? So 36 years of it have been a different way, is all I'm saying. Well, no, I mean, maybe the movies were the same. I think they started changing in the movies. I agree that the original series is more realistic, for sure. I think they did a lot better with that.
I just want everybody to realize that Lore Reloaded is apologizing for being wrong about the original series.
I don't think it's the best. I would say it's different and helps prove your point better. Mm-hmm. I would agree with that. Jonathan Smith says Hollywood is gutless and lazy. They take established lore and ride off the money of old fan base while trying to create a new fan base using the old fans until the new fan base is built. I agree with that. I think I'd be interested in your thoughts on that. I think that's exactly what they did with Discovery Season 1.
Well,
I would agree.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that's exactly
Discovery Season 1, and I think the problem is, I think that if Discovery Season 1 is exactly the reason that so many people on both of our chats are so pissed off right this very moment.
Right, I agree.
Because the simple fact is that Discovery Season 1 over and over and over not only pissed all over established lore, but went out of its way to piss all over existing lore. Things like the Gorn in the closet, just over and over and over, they decided, hey, what's just another way we can show you that we don't give a crap about following continuity?
Right.
Hey, let's see. This takes place 11 years prior to the original series. Why 11 years? Is it just a coincidence that exactly 11 years before the original series, Kirk was on the Farragut and Spock was on the Enterprise, and the Klingons were wiping out the Federation with massive armadas of cloaked ships, and yet 11 years later, Kirk and Spock amazingly had never seen a cloaked ship before in their lives.
Right.
So Yeah, it's just and where is engineering on Discovery? Oh, Thomas,
Oh yeah, that's right. Let's talk about that. Hey, where's that warp core?
Dude, you know my computer died. I had
okay.
You know that's a fact, so we're not going to even go there.
What's a fact? Where's the warp core? I have a picture of the warp core if you'd like to see it. I mean,
you have a picture of the warp core from the Enterprise.
No, from the Discovery. We've had this discussion.
Oh, from season 3.
Yeah.
Right.
On the Discovery.
Yeah, but that's from season 3 after the retrofit.
Yeah, on this. Was it the retrofit? Is that what it was? Oh, okay. Okay.
But yeah, it did. And yeah, I didn't know Salty likes to piss on Lore. That's not what I said. That's not what I said at all. But you know, I
showed you the warp core. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but it looks so dumb. How do you even fix the warp core with it looking like that? Anyway,
yeah. But that's the thing. They went out of their way over and over. I mean, what was the turbo lift shaft? I mean, the inside of Discovery could house 1,000 star bases.
I don't think I'm not defending it. I just don't think the turbo lift shafts ever made any sense really either. Like the way they worked, it'd be pretty difficult. I'm not saying the way they did it was the best.
Oh, they have their problems.
I just don't logically. I don't think the shaft ever made any sense personally.
Right.
So.
And of course, engineering is in the turbo shaft. That makes sense.
Was it? I didn't see that. All I saw. Because, I mean, I don't know if you remember the picture I sent you, but literally the warp core is surrounded in like this cocoon or whatever. And then the cocoon opens up and you see it. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
The turbo shaft is a TARDIS. You're exactly right, sisters. But thank you for the $1.99, Thomas. I do appreciate it, buddy. Even though it was a horrible question. But yeah, just everything about the show, especially in season 1, it felt like a huge FU to the Legacy Trek fans. It felt like they were trying to say, "We don't need you," and then that final shot of the season when the Enterprise shows up, it felt like okay, we're sorry, and it was like, whoa, what's that all about? You know. Brian McFarland wants to know, what were some of Burnham's best moments and worst moments in Discovery? I have a tough time with that. Honestly, I'll tell you when I liked Burnham was every time when she and Ethan Peck's Spock were together in season 2, I liked her. I actually liked her interactions with Spock. Spock and her bickered like brother and sister, and I believed them. And I think it's unfortunate that then the way they ended that with basically the big reveal as for their hating each other was her just saying, "I don't want you to be my brother." I really think that and I don't know if I've told you my whole thing, how I would have rewritten the end of season 2. I think would have made a lot more sense. Is I think that the reason for the animosity between Burnham and Spock should have been that Burnham caused Sybok to embrace her emotion because he was jealous of Burnham's freedom to embrace her emotion, and so that's why Sybok became emotional. That's why Sybok ended up being expelled from the planet Vulcan, and so Spock lost his brother because of her.
Yeah. Can you hear me, by the way?
Yes.
Okay. For some reason my internet is messing up. Huh. Can you still hear me though? That's weird.
Yeah. Surf says, Laura said I could be on the show for $50. Will you do 40? Yeah, sure. You can be on my show for $40.
I never said you could be on my show for $50. I don't even know what that's about. So, I think, you remember her on Navarre?
On Navarre.
Yeah, the Navarre episode. You watched Discovery Season 3? First, let's start.
Well, yeah.
You watch? Okay. So you remember when she went to Navarre?
Oh, that's the new Vulcan Romulan planet, yes.
Yeah, I think that was probably the most Starfleet I've ever seen her be, and there were some mistakes in the writing, but where she was like, She's like, you know what? This looks like this is going to split the planet apart. This looks like this is going to cause like a civil war or something like a civil war. I'm not going to do that, even if it means not finding out this. That was the most Starfleet thing I think I've seen her do. So I'm having issues on my side for some reason. I don't know. That's for me. That's what I think.
I didn't honestly. Unfortunately, with season 3, I liked the first couple episodes when they were on whatever that planet was. Her and I forget the dude's name.
When she was on where?
When she was on the stuck on the planet with her new boyfriend. I can't remember his name.
I don't know.
Yeah, but I liked those first couple of episodes, but then once you got back on Discovery, honestly, the show fell apart to me. I didn't like that they basically, everywhere they went, basically everybody had become dicks in the 30s. I didn't care.
I liked that. I like that.
Of course you did. You liked dystopian.
I know nuance. Nuance is a crazy thing, and
it's not nuance. Everybody's just a dick. That's not nuance.
I get it. The Federation having to rebuild and go back to an original series.
Oh yeah, that was very original series. Everybody's a freak. They were all. It's like, oh yeah, we're just Nazis, but we're not going to call ourselves. Sorry, I shouldn't say the N word. Now you got doing it.
Are you saying in the original series, everyone that came up to weren't dicks? They literally had a planet of 1940s Germany. They literally, So you're saying that there weren't people who were jerks all the time? They didn't like the
not Federation, not Earth.
There weren't people. There weren't humans who weren't jerks. There weren't admirals that weren't jerks. What species?
I think you're kind of missing the point here. I know
I'm spitting facts.
Yeah, I think you're
spitting some straight facts.
You're spitting something. Thank you. It was Cleveland Booker. I couldn't remember the name. But I thought that those first couple episodes with Cleveland Booker were okay, but then I didn't like the fact that everybody, like, all of a sudden, so Earth is just a bunch of fascists. Vulcan is isolationists. The Trill are a bunch of religious zealots. Everybody is just dicks now. And I don't buy that. I'm sorry. I don't buy that every mainstay Federation world is now just a bunch of dicks.
You just don't like that it was the Federation because you had the gangster planet.
No, I don't buy it because you know what? And I also
Western planet.
And I also hold on.
Battlefield.
And I don't buy that if you're going to have this hyper-capitalist evil consortium that it's not run by Ferengi.
I wish they would have brought in the Ferengi.
That made no effing sense. If anybody was going to be running a hyper-capitalistic group, it was going to be the Ferengi.
I don't know. The thing I didn't like that I was very disappointed in is that they did not. They tried to humanize, for lack of a better word, the circle or whatever it was called, the consortium.
Yeah.
In the last episode.
Yeah.
Versus actually doing it, because based on what she was saying, that would have been more interesting if you had this, the Jade Empire, whatever the hell it was called, that it had good and bad people in it, and you had the head that felt like she had to be doing all of this evil stuff, and it's technologically advanced, more advanced than the Starfleet, which is something, or the Federation, something that doesn't happen, because that is
then
a complete
after breakfast,
reversal.
I went to the living room.
I think it would have been
when
interesting if they had done that like throughout the series.
Nap.
And I think that was the biggest failing.
Beats
To
watching
your point, I
Discovery.
think the biggest failing of season 3 was that, and I forget what it's called, but basically they would introduce a concept, and they would either fix that concept or only focus on it for a second,
right?
With the exception of the burn, which did not have a payoff.
Well, the burn. Well, no, it had a great payoff. It was a temper tantrum.
It was a mutant. Yeah. But like Earth, I think I think, like, for instance, Earth, the Federation left them. And so because the Federation left them, people were still, like, just attacking it because they thought that's where all of the wealth was. And so they became isolationist. I know you don't like that, but if they're going to do that, let's do it more than just an episode. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, let's focus on the core four and actually go somewhere and maybe bring them together. Because I wonder how you feel if instead of everyone just being jerks, they start out with everyone being jerks, but the entire arc is like.
Well, sure, if you make a story out of it instead of, I mean, first of all, let me say this. Thank you to Normal, who donated $1. Says, slept late today. Well, you're a cat. You sleep late every day. For just so you know, Normal is Mercer Creates Cat. Went to the living room and napped when my master gave me dinner. I went to the master bedroom for another nap. Now I'm ready for bed. Beats watching Discovery. Well, okay. But yeah, okay, so you can't tell me. And so you get this whole thing with Earth, right? You show up at Earth, they're a bunch of fascists, they're jerks, they're isolationists. And then you literally have this big scary alien, and first of all, I don't buy that genocidal Georgiou is now Burnham's best buddy, which is just the dumbest thing ever. But whatever, genocidal Georgiou is now Burnham's best buddy, and they bring the big scary alien on to meet with the leader from the Earth villain or the Earth forces, and genocidal Georgiou literally pulls a Scooby-Doo moment and pulls the head off so they can reveal it's old man Carruthers from down the lane so they can sit down and talk peace. That's how they resolved the episode. That was the dumbest thing I think I've ever seen in Star Trek, and that's saying something.
I think, well, no, it's not the dumbest thing. I mean, they still have Voyager and TNG season 1 episodes, which, by the way, you and I
know I haven't watched TNG season 1 since like 1982.
Which is why we say it's so bad, because we haven't watched it before. And certain Trek Yards channels talking behind our backs. I'm not saying that a war is coming. I'm just saying that
I mean, we might have to close off the border with Canada.
I know, that's what I'm saying. And we'll get our maple syrup from somewhere else. That's what I'm saying. If they had expanded, I think that would have been interesting in a very Starfleet. I know you don't like that Earth, but a very Star Trek, storyline is to have Earth be so isolationist that they actually cut themselves off and were hurting an Earth colony.
Look, Trek Yards is in the chat. What a coincidence!
Oh, are they in the chat? I don't see them. That's so surprising. Oh, there they are. What's up, Trek Yards?
Heard you were talking smack about us.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that we're now at war, because that's just what we're saying. Last war I was in, VidMe was a thing, and you saw what happened with that. Yeah. Were you ever part of VidMe? Do you know what VidMe is?
Mm-mm.
Oh, it was a video content place that was trying to go up against YouTube.
Wow.
And so, and one of their things was, we're not YouTube. And so they did this entire commercial where all they were doing was cursing. Say, bringing us your effing people, just nothing but curse words. It was interesting. Then they shut down because they couldn't compete. I don't care if you care, or Salty Tracker. I care.
I care. I'm looking at the chat.
Oh, okay.
I'm just waiting for Foley to say something about the war, about the coming burn.
Right. But anyway, but until we wait for the response, I just think it would have been interesting if they could have fleshed that out. They just didn't.
Right.
They didn't take any.
If you had done instead of having the attacks, and that's the other stupid thing, because the attacks were coming from what was it, one of the moons of Jupiter or something?
It's Titan.
Yeah, and so I'm sorry, but a starship from the 23rd century could have scanned Titan, right?
Right.
So you can't tell me the Earth couldn't scan Titan in the 32nd century, and detected that that's where the ships were coming from.
It's so weird. They're trying to have. I'm not saying that season 3 doesn't have issues. I'm saying it's better than season 1.
You surrender. That's a catch. Well, he is. I'm sorry, he's Canadian. Almost French Canadian. How quickly you surrendered there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did you consult with France before having? But they try to be dystopian and yet 31st century tech, which is a weird mix.
Hi dilly ho, hi dilly ho, hi dilly ho.
Brian says, on a scale of 1 to 10, as far as importance, how important is canon to Kurtzman?
Create $1.
Canon
Discovery has
is you don't want to use that term.
The most Trek-like episode.
And,
Red Angel, where they capture the Red Angel, was a very
hold on a second, Normal. So we'll get to your question in a second. So, but this is important, Brian, and I'm sure that I want to make sure that Lore and I are on the same page with this. And Trek Yards, I'm curious to see your opinion on this as well. But we use the word canon incorrectly all the time. As far as how important is canon, it doesn't matter. All canon means is this is the official lexicon of what officially is official Trek that happened. So it doesn't matter. What they say is official canon is official canon. That's all it means. And so if Kurtzman says official canon is Discovery and Picard and TNG and Deep Space Nine and Voyager and Enterprise in the original series, then that's canon. End of story. What you're talking about is continuity. What you want to know is how important is continuity to Kurtzman on a scale of 1 to 10. As far as how important is it that if the phasers can go through the shields in one episode, that they can go through the shields in another episode. And on that one, I would say to Kurtzman, probably about a 3.
I would say it's as important as probably Voyager and late term, and I know you disagree with it, but late term, well, I don't think you and me got, maybe someone else, and mid to late Enterprise. Because in Voyager, there was a specific guideline to not worry about continuity. Sure. And there was a similar thing in Enterprise. I mean, does Discovery or Picard or whatever do it worse? Maybe. I don't know. I know that when it comes to continuity, depending on the era and depending on how good the ratings were, was dependent on how close to continuity they cared about.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And that's really what they care about is the ratings. What they care about is the dollars. The dollar bills, yo.
Right.
And Trek Yard said it. I didn't. He said Kurtzman is an idiot. But hey, you know.
I mean, Kurtzman may be an idiot, but at least he didn't write TNG season 1 and 2. That's all I got to say.
Well, I don't know. Have you ever seen it?
I've never seen him and Berman in the same room. That's true.
No, I mean, have you ever seen TNG season 1 and 2?
Oh, not for a long, long time.
I mean, I don't even remember the last time I've seen it. I mean, like, what was it, like in the 60s, 50s? I don't remember.
As someone whose entire career is like 80% Star Trek, I don't watch it all that much. So you can understand where I wouldn't even know. I mean, was there even a season 1 and didn't it start at season 3?
I don't know.
What's the health update? What did you think of the Federation joining the Galactic Empire for Protection from Dominion during DS9 season 17 opening?
All right, so let me then address a couple of things. I got a couple of the super chats here. So Normal put in $1, said Discovery has good things. New Eden was the most Trek-like episode. I would agree, but unfortunately, I think New Eden, while it had some interesting ideas, like the idea that Pike was raised in a religious household and then it was just kind of dropped, never to be mentioned ever again, ever. Which I was like looking forward to some interesting debates because they kind of hinted at like Pike and Burnham kind of had a couple of little jabs at each other on theological grounds. I was like, ooh, that could get good. And then they just kind of never mention it again. Red Angel, where they capture the Red Angel, was a very visceral episode, a treat for home theater. I wanted to like it. I didn't care for Red Angel, actually. I thought that episode was just... and I know Bird of Prey really liked that episode because he took the scene of Michael Burnham screaming and melting and looped it for like an 8-hour video. But I didn't particularly care for that episode.
I don't know. I think they're going to pick. I think you're dismissing his religious, possibly conservative background a little early. They may actually lean into that. I think.
I hope they
I think.
do.
Well, I think there are some times when it's not explicit, but I think that the archetype that you're kind of looking for is seen there. Like, and maybe you brought it up because I don't have the name of the episodes memorized, but they do talk about his background. He does like a good old boy type deal, and when he realizes his fate with the time crystals or whatnot, I think that goes back to him being. I think you see some of his faith there. I think. It's not explicit,
I hope that
like,
I hope that in Strange New Worlds we get some of that, because
right.
I think that Anson Mount was the best thing about season 2. And I think that the season 2, while it did fall apart a little bit at the end, well, a lot to me at the end, up until those last couple of episodes, I was really digging season 2. So if that's what we get in a Strange New World series, except episodic, I'm down. Sign me up. And Trekyard says that you are God and I am Satan. Dude, you need to check out the Gaming Heretic channel. You actually have that backwards, just so you know. And Trekyard's now saying I'm the Red Angel.
What was we were going to do before we just shut it down because no one watched it? What was the
Gaming Heretic?
No, not the Gaming Heretic. What was we were going to do a backstory, like how we got into hell, which was. What opinion were we going to say that got him into hell? I forget.
That got you into hell, you mean?
Yeah, got the Gaming Heretic into hell.
Oh, it was
It wasn't it a defense of what people hated or something? It was something stupid.
There was like some game that you liked that everybody hated, but
was it a game? I forget. It was just something stupid. Yeah. But yeah, that was a good concept.
I mean, if we were to launch it today, you would just say, "What? I think Kurtzman's pretty good." Then, bam.
Yeah, for those who don't know, we because on my channel, you've talked about my channel, me and Salty Trekker worked together for a while, where we had it was called the Gaming Heretic, and basically it was it reviewed games and whatnot, and the two characters was an angel that liked to drink too much, and so he was given like the worst assignment, and then an idiot demon that had to review games or whatever. He got like the worst. It was pretty. Yeah, it was fun. No one watched it.
Yeah, Laura was the demon in hell, and I was basically an administrator angel that had to make sure that he was doing his job.
Right.
And so he'd be down there, and but basically it was great because what I would do is I had a Jack Daniel's bottle that I would fill with a perfect mixture of Coke with a little bit of water to make it look like it was full of Jack Daniels, just chugging it down the whole time through the video, and it was it was great. Just like, yeah, man, what's going on? You know. And so he would be in front of a green screen looking like he was literally in the flames of hell while I was playing these games. And I had like a smoke machine going and lots of bright lights in the room. So it looked like I was in the clouds.
And you had a dog that would come up and would just be like, it was like wolf.
Wolf. I still have... I found when I was digging around some files, and unfortunately on the computer that died, it's on one of those hard drives that's in there. I found Fluffy was the name of the dog. I actually found it's a Pomeranian with like 7 eyes.
And every time it came in, it would like stomp on me on the Gaming Heretic. It was like your dog or whatever, or the Angel's dog. It's funny.
And so, okay, so I got 2 more super chats. Oh wow, Indy Tiger just put in $50. Thank you, Indy.
I want $50.
You can't have it. Okay. It's for me because Indy Tiger loves me. He hates you.
It's true.
That's. But first, before I get to that, as much as but first I want to read. Lancer put in $5, and Lancer says, "What's the health update?"
Kuroga laughs.
And there's
at your general misfortune.
Yes, I know, Bird. Kuroga laughs at my misfortune. Go ahead and laugh. All right. I gotta remember.
Why are you looking up?
Mama pray. Get me.
Oh, because I think. Well, actually, it's not.
Please.
displaying the thing, I don't think, but because I haven't
to
set it up
misery.
properly.
To anti-trackers.
It's playing right
Unending
now a little recording of Bird
misery.
of Prey 5 celebrating my
Picard
misery.
in TNG is Captain Dunsel. Riker is
It's just not
captain in all but
handedly
name.
ho.
Picard is suffering PTSD.
All right.
McCoy ordered work therapy. That's why
So-
Picard is a British Frenchman. Why Riker never leaves. And why Deanna is always
So
on the
Indy
bridge.
is actually responding with his $50 to your Mary Sue argument. But first, so in chronological order,
$1.
and now
Did you
Mercer
see
puts
the
in
video
$1.
of
You guys are
Kurtzman
just gonna
worked on Voyager? It has
mess
the
with me
Voyager
here.
spinning and teleporting.
I appreciate it, though,
Drive. It is
because I
hilarious.
love the fact that you guys are giving me more money than Lore, because Lore doesn't need it. He's rich. A lot of people don't know that he's actually.
Rich. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly what it is. I'm
Yeah.
rich. Yeah, it's
So first of all, Lancer put in $5. Says, "Okay, what's the health update? What did you think of the Federation joining the Galactic Empire for protection from the Dominion during the Deep Space Nine Season 17 opening?" So health update. Doctor has basically has diagnosed me with what's called CIS, which is a precursor to progressive MS, which basically is a form of MS that basically progresses over time. And we're moving forward with some treatment. We'll see what happens. I will definitely be keeping you guys updated. I'll probably be streaming every now and then. Look for a, Health Life or whatever stream title for my health streams. I'll probably make that, I don't know, it'll depend on what my work schedule ends up being, but I'll make it a regular thing. But that's the short version. So I do actually have a diagnosis, but I won't have a firm MS diagnosis for at least 6 months. So here's Indy's $50 donation about addressing what you were saying, which of course Indy properly put on my channel addressing your argument. Which is that Picard in TNG is actually Captain Dunsel. Riker is captain in all but name. Picard is suffering PTSD. McCoy ordered work therapy. That's why Picard is a British Frenchman. Why Riker is never leaves, and why Deanna is always on the bridge.
Well, I mean, I've always been a fan of British-occupied France, which is what it has to be in the Star Trek universe. So, because everything we see shows it's British-occupied France.
Not necessarily. Didn't his brother have a French accent?
I don't know, but I know that everything shows that it's British-occupied France. So, I mean, it's possible that there's one or two Frenchmen left.
I do think it's interesting that in the Picard series that Picard has Romulan slaves.
I could see that.
Well, no,
they were the best characters.
Right. I agree they're the best characters, but they are his slaves. Because no. Hear me out. Okay. They're working his vineyard. They take his orders, and in fact, they want to go with him, and he orders them to stay behind and take care of the grapes. And they accept his orders and do what he tells them, right? And Picard made it painfully clear over and over and over, there ain't no money. They ain't getting paid.
Do you know they are slaves? Do you know their official background?
I know that they're like Tal Shiar and
they're former Tal Shiar agents.
Yeah, I haven't read the comics or anything, but yeah, I've heard that. And then Mercer said, "Did you see that video? If Kurtzman worked on Voyager, it has Voyager spinning and teleporting home using a spore drive."
They find a way to break it.
Yeah. I had not seen that, but honestly, I think that's one of the big problems with the spore drive in its existence. The mycelial network as a concept is an interesting idea if it was post Voyager, and in fact, Voyager itself should have been the inspiration for it. Because someone could say, wow, what if a starship was trapped on the other side of the galaxy? Wouldn't it be great if they could come home like that?
Well, either that or break it or make it so that Starfleet wouldn't. Like if they had gone all in on the mycelial network being damaged every time it was used, and then just saying that it can't be used. I could see a Starfleet, even if it meant not getting Voyager back, saying we're not going to do that. But they never did that. They never went all in on
Right.
that.
Instead, they just say, yeah, we can never use it again. Next episode, we're going to use it again.
Right.
You know.
Well, and it wasn't, I mean, it's just like, well, we fixed the issue, or because they mentioned there's like a
Remember
one-off
the warp
sentence
5 speed limit?
Yeah. Well, there was a one-off sentence where it's like you're destroying our thing, and then they find the doctor, and now it's not an issue anymore, or something. Like they never bring it up, but it is like the warp 5 thing, where it's just like, okay, no problem.
I guess it's well, whoopsie, we fixed it.
I mean, it basically connects all of the universes, though. So there's that.
Right. Yeah, I saw your video on that.
Yeah, I mean, literally, that's what they say. They're like,
We
you want to
old,
know
they
what
dismiss US for
creates the
new
mirror
Gen Z
universe
fan
and what
future
creates
dollar.
everything? It's the mycelial network. Literally, that's what it is.
But you know, I do think it's kind of interesting that you could argue that we're watching whatever universe from the point of view of the mycelial network, but it also kind of just means that you're looking at whatever.
Right. Well, I mean, you're never going to get a good explanation for time travel in alternate universes.
No, sure you
really
are.
makes sense.
Just wait until I get my video done.
Watch Loki. That's where it is. It's Loki.
And Surf, thank you, throws in a couple of bucks, says, we old, they dismiss us for new Gen Z fan feature dollars. Well, there is some truth to that, and the problem is that now this is the painful truth. And I'm gonna lay down some painful truth that Laura's gonna like want to dance around naked in a second here. That's how happy he's gonna be in a second. You ready to take your shirt off and dance around naked?
Well, I'm always ready to take off.
All right, so I do think that we, the Legacy Trek fans, have to be ready for the fact that yes, maybe we are just getting too old for Trek. Maybe we are, in fact, just aging out. Maybe it is getting to the point where, yep, I guess dystopia is the way. That's just you know what? Screw us. We're no longer hip enough to have a show for us. And hope to gosh dang it that the Orville lasts long enough so that when we're in our grave, we're still watching new episodes.
I think that's what they did. I think that's just with every property. I mean, look at Battlestar Galactica.
Battlestar Galactica was always dark.
Yeah, no. I'm saying look at what they did. They rebooted it in a way that the original generation didn't like it. So they did something that a lot of the older fans didn't like. It's just it gets rebooted or redone.
I think that but here's the difference. I think that when Ronald D. Moore rebooted Galactica, I think he captured the spirit of the original Galactica, but just with a modern. He just redid it with modern storytelling techniques. He literally just did it and shot it with modern techniques, modern storytelling tropes, and I think that the people that got upset were not upset because of the tone or the writing or the visuals. Honestly, the only thing that people got mad about was the gender and race swaps.
So that's what I was about to ask you. So you're saying that when they turned Starbuck into a female,
no, that's
got her married and made her have sex with Apollo, they didn't like that modern style of writing. They liked that modern style of writing.
Swapping race isn't about a modern style of writing. Now, I disagreed with that. I think that was a big mistake. And I still do. Well, I think that I'm not saying that Kara Thrace was a horrible character. But you know what? There were strong women on that show. There was no need to make Kara Thrace into Starbuck because
I think the show would have been definitively worse off if they hadn't. See, but that's the thing, huh? Because I think she's a strong character that had added a lot to it. I didn't like the way they ended it with her.
And she could have been a Sabrina as well, or not Sabrina. What's her name? Oh gosh, now I'm forgetting her name. What was Kane's daughter's name? Sheba. If she were Sheba instead of Starbuck, why could if she was it was Katie Sackhoff, You did everything else exactly the same, except it was freaking Sheba. And you just make Starbuck a background player, and Sheba takes on. You make her a more forefront character.
Oh no, Salty Trekker, what are you talking? Taking a strong white male character and putting him in the background just so that you can have a female character up.
Yep.
Well, by God, I just love that woke writing. I just love when they take male characters.
I would be better with that. I would be absolutely better with that than I would, because at least Sheba's an actual character.
I don't even know who Sheba is, which talks about how prevalent she was.
Well, that's because you didn't give a crap about the original show then.
No, nothing. You're right. I didn't. I liked it.
Okay, well, there you go.
That goes to what we're talking about.
Like when Kira said to Dan,
well, so you would have
with the original Battlestar Galactica. I grew up with Battlestar Galactica reimagined, and guess which one I like better?
Obviously, and I like the newer one better as well. But what I'm saying is that had you done that, had you made so you keep Starbuck in the show, but you
just
don't
come in the background and don't matter, even though they were like.
I'm not saying you just I'm not saying you like make it so that he's just an extra. But you don't have to make him the main player. And
I'm just disappointed that you want to destroy all of the thing by putting the man in the background. I'm just disappointed in the.
Instead of being a dick about it, think about it for a minute, all right? Because
that's going to get clipped out of context.
Right.
I'm sorry.
But I'm just saying, instead of just being a dick about it, think about it for a minute. You like the show as it stood, and what I'm talking about is to make it in such a way that you're not doing a gender swap, but you're still accomplishing your goal of having that strong character played by a great actress who made it a standout role. And without the baggage that she drug into season 1, which was her weakest performance, was season 1 when she was sitting there trying to do a bad imitation of Dirk. In those first few episodes. She was horrible in those first few episodes because she was just trying to be Starbuck from the original series.
I can't speak. I never really saw the original. I saw bits and pieces of the original series, but I never really, so I can't speak to how much she was or was not trying to imitate. Because again, for me, Starbuck is Katie Sackhoff. It's not the original Starbuck. You know, that's just going back to my point. I think that people who grew up with Discovery, that's going to be like, and I think we could even use me again, because when I think of Star Trek, I go to TNG, not the original series.
Right. Because you're an idiot, but that's okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's whatever you want. We can look at ratings and see which one was better. But I mean, we can.
The original series was better.
I don't think it got as good ratings. That's not fair, though. I know, but
actually, it technically had better ratings because there were less networks. But Captain Mercer Normal Create says, "I'm open to new Trek, but I think it has to be about adventure." I agree. Tall ships, great character interactions, and storytelling does not feel convoluted. Stories about something like when Kira said to Damar, "What kind of people give those orders?" That was actually a great line. And it was actually, that's not what Kira said. Kira said, "Yeah, what kind of people?"
Right.
That was because it was Damar that said, "What kind of people give those orders?" And that was actually Damar's defining moment right there. That was when Damar went from being a Cardassian rebel to the great builder of a new Cardassia, and Salty Trekker and Bird of Prey having power wheelchair races. That may come in the near future. Hopefully not too near.
That'd be hilarious. I would put money. Since I'm so rich,
something
I
good
would
like
do an
Lost in
event that
Space.
would,
Debbie the Space Monkey was brilliant.
And could we please talk about something? This is Dr. Scotty puts in $5. Could we please talk about something good like Lost in Space? Debbie the Space Monkey was brilliant.
I watched 1 or 2 episodes. I never watched the full Lost in Space. It goes back. I don't even know that I watched the original Lost in Space.
There is another show. The original. I watched the first few episodes of the new Lost in Space. It sucked. The original series was good. It was silly, but it was good. This new reboot sucked.
Yeah, I didn't watch it too much. I watched the original movie. I didn't really get a lot out of that either.
You talking about the movie with like Matt LeBlanc and those guys and William Hurt?
Yeah, it was the one with the
It was in the
where
90s.
the
Hi
scientist
diddly
becomes
ho,
like
hi diddly
a
ho,
space
hi
creature or
diddly
something.
ho,
Yeah, that movie. Well, because you say the original movie, I know
you
you're younger than me.
Life underscore with
Yeah, so
underscore
if there was a
$1.
movie before, I meant
They hit
whatever the
Starbucks on
'90s,
Babylon
the
5.
one where
Wow,
Yeah.
I can't wait to watch
Earth
it
has been
next
destroyed due to
decade.
global
My
warming,
class
and now
went well,
we're
I taught well.
Yeah, the
With
original,
that book, what was it
Lost in
called again?
Space was
Over
way
the
back, dude. That was
Hey,
black and
Kuroga.
white.
Was there a movie after that though? They had an actual movie after that.
No, the original that was just a TV series,
Okay.
and it's funny because the first season was actually a serious sci-fi series, and then they went campy with the second season. But both the series is actually surprisingly good, and then the campy cheesy is surprisingly funny, and so it actually kind of worked for both. But I did enjoy it a lot for cheesy '60s camp. The Matt LeBlanc movie I thought was silly, but it was fun. I might have to do that for a movie night with Matthew one of these days, if he hasn't seen it. And then, but the new show is again, it's typical Netflix. We're trying to take ourselves way too seriously, and try to make things quote unquote important.
Right.
And thank you so much. Life with Matthew donated $1. I'm sure that was really him. And says, they had Starbucks on Babylon 5. Well, I can't wait to watch it in the next decade. My class went well. I taught well with that book. What's it called again? Oh, the Bible. Hail Kuroga.
That seems like something you'd say. Alex
Yeah.
Alex Bogey, out of the 3 Trek showrunners, Gene Roddenberry, Rick Berman, and Kurtzman, which is or was the best and worst, and why? Well, first off, I want to say the best showrunner was probably what, Kuhn and Meyer.
Yeah, Gene Kuhn was actually was the best showrunner. Gene Roddenberry was never a Star Trek showrunner, just so you know.
He was in name alone.
Yeah.
I think, I think Kurtzman is.
Well, I lied.
He's the weakest.
Gene Roddenberry was the Star Trek showrunner, season 1 of TNG, which me and Lore Reloaded have never seen. Apparently,
I've never seen that, so I couldn't speak to that. I think Kurtzman is definitely the weakest. I would say probably the strongest showrunner was during the Roddenberry era, but that again was not Roddenberry. That was DC Fontana, that was Kuhn, that was Meyer, that I really liked more than anything else.
Yeah. But the person that you would call a showrunner by today's standards was Gene Kuhn. Mm-hmm. And he unfortunately died in the 70s. But yeah, if you look at the original series, you'll see his name produced by Gene Kuhn at the end of every episode for the first 2 seasons. And that's why the first 2 seasons of the original Trek are the best Trek, period. Sorry. And, and it's kind of funny.
Some of that writing is dated, though, man. I've been doing some.
Well, obviously, I mean, you do run into that when you have, just like, I mean, some of the stuff from TNG is starting to show its age too. But that's just the nature of the beast. I mean, think about the writing on Discovery, and boy, that stuff is going to age fast.
Well, I mean, it's just like you had Kirk at one point talking about dipping girls' locks in inkwells.
Yeah, and it's when inkwells haven't been used in a while.
Yeah,
but that was dated when I was a kid.
Well, that's what I'm saying, and I barely know what that is because I'm a kid of the '90s, and there's no way my daughters, when they watch it, would ever know.
Right?
They'd have to go and look up what's an inkwell.
Dude, I was a kid in the '70s. I didn't know. I was like, what? And then, but then you think about like. Since there's so much, of the identity politics stuff that's crammed into Discovery, that's going to show its age within a decade.
Right.
And I think that's too bad because it's a beautiful looking show. So I don't think Discovery is going to age visually for a very long time, but I think the writing of Discovery is going to age faster than any other Trek.
I don't any other Trek. I don't know about that. I don't know. I think Orville is going to date itself too. I think
so. I think you're right. I think Orville, with some of its humor, is going to date itself because they're trying to kind of do the same thing that Discovery is, just on the other end of the scale.
Right. I don't know. I don't think Orville is going to survive past season 3, but No one likes Rick Berman. Rick Berman was a pretty awful individual personally. He did some good things and some bad things for Trek. He was not nice to females, but he did good and bad for Trek. I think he saved Trek from the worst DS9 ending that could have ever happened. So there is that. You know about that, right? What Stephen Bear, Ira, wanted to do? What he wanted to do, because you watched DS9, right?
Yeah, I love DS9.
So he had his character, I think it was Benny Russell. He wanted DS9 literally to end that it was all either a movie or a series being made by Benny Russell. That all of Star Trek, that's how he wanted to end it. Berman vetoed him. He was writing scripts for it when Berman came in and said, that is not how this is going to end.
Wow. Well, okay, so I take back what I said about how horrible the Pa Wraiths thing was, because I do hate the Pa Wraiths thing I mean, I thought that the whole thing with Cisco and Gul Dukat fighting in the fire caves was stupid, but that is worse. So I'll give you that.
But I mean, think about that, because we saw the Enterprise, we saw TNG. That was in the season premiere, right? Or series premiere. So that would have meant that TNG was also written. Like none of it was real. It was literally the wake up, and it was all a dream ending.
Right.
Why on God's green earth do you think that's a good thing? I don't. That blows my mind.
But on the bright side, season 1 would also have just been a dream, which we've never seen. So there is good news in that. So, bottom line, the Kurtzmagiddan is a bunch of crap.
Right.
I think that's pretty much, I think, what we can safely say. And I am a cis male on my way to having PMS. That's what we've learned today.
Yeah.
Which is actually
basically
something, hey, how, come on, how much more, how much better representation can you get than a cis male who's about to have PMS? I mean, isn't that like the ultimate in representation? I don't think there's ever been a character in Star Trek that's been a cis male that has PMS.
So you've never seen Picard talk about atheism, religion?
What's that got to do with cis male PMS?
Oh man, I don't know.
You're losing your mind, buddy. And I agree that Dukat deserved a better end than being stuck in the fire caves, but still better than it was all a dream. Still better than
it just went on too long.
I think Deep Space Nine lasted one season too long.
Well, no, I think the season finale lasted 15, 20 minutes too long. I think they should have cut that out.
I think it was one season too long. I think it should have ended at the end of season 6. Honestly, I think they should have retaken Deep Space Nine and ended it there.
I don't know. I think they could have written Dukat the way I would have written Dukat, because they wanted to make him evil. That's why they destroyed the character, because people were sympathizing with him. What I would have done is I would have had Dukat and Dumar have a similar arc. Dumar doing it right, Dukat doing it wrong, and Dukat almost dooming Cardassia,
right,
and dying for it, and Dumar standing up and saving. If they're going to make him evil, I'd have him go those two paths.
Someone asked me before what I would do with Dukat. I think the simple answer would be to, that whatever puppet Cardassian that they brought in to replace Damar when he got deposed. Mm-hmm. Just bring Dukat back in.
Right.
Just say, oh, look what we found in the gutter.
Right. But I might have done that as I said, because what happened, or at least what Ira has said, is that Dukat was people were sympathizing with him, and they didn't want that. And so they made it sure that he was evil. But I would have done something like what you said. Again, put him back with the Dominion, mm-hmm, and just destroying Cardassia while he thinks he was saving it.
Right.
And then have Damar and then have a head-to-head. because Damar, when he was going through the series, always looked up to Dukat. He thought Dukat was like the proto Cardassian. He was going to save everything. And so to have Damar face against Dukat, I think would have been the ultimate character arc, or arc between them.
And then, their final confrontation, Damar takes him down and gives rise to a new, freer Cardassia, where the Cardassians can actually be respectable.
Right, and I don't think you, because it wasn't a huge moment, but there was a part where there was this Cardassian who had a gun to Kira's head, and Damar kills him and says his Cardassia is dead. I would have just don't have that random Cardassian. Have him kill Dukat and have that line.
That'd be the moment, yeah.
Yeah, Dukat's Cardassia is dead. Now we have to grow. We have to be more than that. Right. So,
and you have it happen while Dukat's doing one of his propaganda speeches on broadcasting,
right?
So that people can see the change in power, the rise of Damar, and the change. And
do you plan on continuing your Discovery Rewrite series?
And the Rossonati throws in $5. Do I plan on continuing the Discovery Rewrite? I actually would like to do that again. I'm hopefully, and I'll tell you, this is big stuff with the. It's going to depend on when I start the injections for the MS, how much it affects my ability to focus and concentrate, because my biggest struggle has been writing. It's taken me weeks to write what used to take me a day. When I was working on the timeline theory that then got fried with my last computer, and Laura, go ahead and insult me.
What? That you didn't keep it on Google?
Yeah, thank you.
Which everybody does, because that's where I put all my stuff on.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing now. So anyway, so with these injections that I'm going to be starting, as soon as I get there's FedExing me the actual injector, and then I got to get the actual drugs, and they got to show me how to do it. It's kind of a hypo spray kind of thing. Once I get that, then I will hopefully have a clearer head and be able to start writing again. If that happens, buddy, I want to start doing the rewrite series again. I want to start doing the journey through Trek again, and I absolutely want to get back on the timeline and lore stuff again, because that's what I love doing. I love doing that, so I don't want to sit there and bitch about Alex Kurtzman. I'll do that on live streams, but I don't want to do that in edited videos. What I want to do in the edited videos is like Lore Reloaded, except better. I like doing actual good stuff instead of stupid things about the mycelial network. Because
easy money is easy money, man. So it's whatever.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I used to make fun of you. Oh yeah, well, Laura just looked up another article on Memory Alpha and read it again.
It's whatever. The hater's gonna hate.
I'll have to start doing that. I'll just start reading random pages from Memory Alpha.
Welcome to Lore Channels. Doesn't matter what you're doing it on. It's someone's reading some Wikipedia article.
Okay. There, you heard it there. That's how Lore does it. Yep. Except better, yeah. And no, Deej, I'm not planning on doing any My Little Pony reviews. Sorry, buddy.
I told you, and I think you should. I really, because I know you took them down because you thought that they were the wrong spirit, but you should just redo all of your videos too. If you don't want to re-bring them back up because of what they were, you should redo all of your videos.
If it comes to a point, depending on what happens with the medical diagnosis, if I am going to be off work for an extended period, I may start doing that too. Once I have my computer back and I can do some serious editing. And because that's definitely on the table. But like redoing the Last Jedi review and stuff, except not quite as, with minus the FU Ryan Johnson every 2 minutes.
Right.
But listen to your heart. Don't do what Laura says. But I do, in my heart, I'll tell you, I love doing videos about lore, about having fun, enjoying these franchises, and having fun with these franchises as opposed to just feeling depressed about it. I'm not going to sit there and do videos about, like everybody and their brother has done videos about how horrible the world is because Alex Kurtzman managed to get a 5-year deal. I don't care. You know what I care about is Strange New World's going to be any good.
Right.
And yes, I had an epiphany and changed my name to Salty. Not in penance, but because it makes more sense.
I still think that there's a clip out there. I'm gonna start putting a bounty on it. If someone can find the clip where they call you salty.
I would love to find it too. If somebody finds it, I want to find it, man.
Paige swears it doesn't exist, but too many people are saying it does. So I want to see. I think it does.
I keep hearing people tell me it exists, but I've yet to have anybody give me a clip.
Right.
Yeah.
Chief Cook helping out the channel. DS9 should have ended Cisco giving a real starship and letting him explore the Gamma Quadrant, is what he said. Sure.
The USS Reach Around.
Exactly. It's funny on multiple levels.
Replace the pimp hand.
True.
Yeah.
That's true. That's a good name for it. I don't care what you say.
I love that name. You know, that was back when SF Debris was not like such a greedy bastard. So.
Yeah, I haven't watched him in a while, like almost a year.
Yeah. Well, when it got to the point where it's like, yeah, just pay me and you can watch my videos, I was like, okay, I'm done.
Right.
You know, sorry, I'm not paying anybody to watch their content unless it's like, you know, Disney or something. You know, sorry, you're not that good. You know, unless you have frickin' Chris Pratt working for you, you ain't that good. All right, so with that, I think we're gonna wrap it up because I think Laura's gonna fall asleep, and then his kids are gonna be like jumping around on him, which would be great YouTube. But
with school coming back up too, I got to wake up early these days now, which is unfortunate.
Yeah. All right, guys. So thank you all for hanging out with us. Thank you, Laura. It was a pleasure. And then tomorrow night we'll be hanging out with Deej. Lord help us. And and then Friday movie night with Matthew, assuming I can get that figured out between now and then. Live long and prosper. And I'll post an official health update video with the technical stuff in the next day or two. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Well, that sounded kind of creepy.
It's the good creepy. I like it.
No, that's not the good creepy.
Guys, I want to thank you so much for coming to stay with Salty.